Climate change is a major issue that should be the focus of all 2020 presidential candidates' campaigns.
Since 1880, global sea levels have risen 8 inches. If we do not take action now, by 2050, global sea levels could rise as much as 19 inches, affecting millions of residents in coastal areas.
Our current president has done very little to address this issue, which is why the next president must make this the center of their campaign.
If we don't stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius of temperature rise, then irreversible changes will be made to the planet, and then it will no longer be able to be saved.
Greta Thunberg is a 16-year-old climate activist from Sweden who founded Fridays for Future. She leads climate strikes all over the world and inspires young people like us to save the planet.
For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? If you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
World leaders today constantly turn to the youth for ways to stop climate change, but really they should be turning to themselves. It is unfair for them to steal our childhoods and expect us to do something about it, when they're the ones who can make the most change because they're the ones with power.
Young people like us have done everything we can to help solve the issue, from raising awareness to making changes to our lifestyles. It is now up to world leaders to solve the problems created by climate change. One woman who has devoted her entire career to helping the environment is Lydia Van Note from the San Diego Foundation. She oversees environmental programs, including the climate program, and creates opportunities for San Diegans to enjoy the outdoors.
We are a 40-year organization, and in the last 20 years we've been trying to address climate change. And honestly, at the beginning of my career, I didn't even talk about climate change because people didn't want to talk about that. We are seeing a positive feedback loop on what CO2 and global warming pollution has done to our climate. We are seeing the indications or effects that were modeled that weren't supposed to happen for another 20 years, and we're seeing them today. We will also see the rest of the world be affected by climate change. So if we have more climate refugees that are leaving specific areas that are economically depressed or desperate, that is going to put more burden on countries like us to have to support them. I will not vote or support a candidate that does not admit that climate change is happening and it's man-made and does not have a very in-depth, robust plan on how to decrease our emissions here in the United States, but also globally.
What is the alternative to saving the planet? How much is too much to spend to make sure that our children, grandchildren, and future generations live in a world that is healthy and is habitable?
Because of climate change, coastal cities will be devastated from sea level rise, and commercial fisheries could be either totally collapsed or moved beyond the reach of our coastal communities, all in my children's lifetimes. So yes, adaptation and mitigation will be costly, but the cost of doing nothing is exponentially higher.
The cost of reducing carbon footprints left by past generations is high, but the cost of not doing so is even higher. Also, there's a multitude of economic benefits, according to the EPA.
The projected value of recent climate pollution mitigation efforts is between $78 billion and $1.2 trillion, meaning that is how much money we've saved since the laws have gone into place. Matt Spidell is an oceanographer from the Scripps Institute of Oceanography, who is currently knee-deep in studies about how climate change has affected the ocean.
If climate change is ignored and if the sea level rises as predicted, flooding events are going to be much more frequent. And I believe we've already started to see some of this in other parts of the world. You're not going to just see the ocean rise like a bathtub. You're going to really feel this when there are large waves and high tides. The current projection is for about 1 meter of sea level rise, and the current human population, 1/10 of it lives within 1 meter of the sea level. So if we do not change our ways, and I think the government has a huge role in forcing us to sort of change our ways, we're going to have a huge problem on our hands, and it's not going to get easier to solve, it's really just going to get harder to solve. So if we don't make a concerted effort now, and if the President of the United States doesn't think that this is an important problem, then it's not going to get tackled.
Climate change is the most urgent issue which must be addressed by the next presidential candidates. Our vision for 2020 is that climate change be addressed and that Congress passes new laws to help combat the issue.
Additionally, world leaders need to stop waiting around for research to be done because they have had all the answers that they need for years. It is our job as Americans to set a good example, but the positive changes cannot be made without the strong leadership of a president who strives to save